back with part 2 of season 10 of The Walking Dead. I know it did take me long, but I do have an actual gaming channel that I try to upload on every day. But for right now, The Walking Dead's got all my attention, and I'll put my gaming channel down in the description. So we actually start back with Daryl and all the others getting stuck in that cave with all the walkers of the herd that the Whisperers got, because Carol wanted to follow Alpha and got them all trapped in here. But Alpha says that they just need to watch the other way, so they gotta be able to get out of here somehow. And they end up finding the way out, but they're gonna have to jump rocks with these walkers to get there. I'm gonna let y'all know right now, this is like the unsafest thing you could do. You fall one step and you're gone. But luckily for them, they all make it safely. But now if they pass it, they have to find a way out, and they gotta be careful because the Whispers could be anywhere. And while everybody's together, Daryl goes to talk to Carol and tells her that she's gonna have to tell him things since she knows she kind of ran into this. And she agrees that she will, but I don't really trust it. But while everybody's searching for clues, it looks like Jerry ended up finding an arrow, so they're definitely going the right way. While Negan goes to talk to Alpha and tells her that he thinks that she's got a mole on her side, because how would Daryl or any of the others ended up finding it that easily? And if you remember back in season 6 when Carol was freaking out at the Savior's complex when they were taking it out, we figure out right now it's because she's actually claustrophobic. But lucky for Carol, Connie ends up teaching her some breathing exercises, because they all had to go through a very narrow cave. And Carol's not doing too well, but Daryl talks her through. And everyone's getting through, but Jerry can't get through. And walkers are coming, no. But lucky for us, they end up getting Jerry out. And he has no bots, thank goodness. But even though Alpha and Beta don't tell the other Whisperers about the traitor, she does believe Negan is right. While the others keep moving through the tunnel as they end up finding a bunch of dynamite. But Jerry tells her to put that back really slowly because dynamite's not the safest. But Alpha ends up taking Negan out and tells him to keep walking straight. So Negan thinks that this is it, that he's about to die. And she tells him to get naked, which is even worse because you already know she's going to do something really bad. Until Alpha turns around and tells him that she's got him a reward. What the... Alright, anyways, we are back with Daryl and all the others. They ended up finding a way out. But before Daryl ends up getting out, we see that some of the dynamite's missing and Carol's not there. And Daryl ends up stopping her, but sees that she was trying to climb the cave to see if she could throw the dynamite down and just take out the herd. And she even says that she wouldn't have cared if she died because she just misses her son. But as she goes to grab the dynamite to take it, she ends up slipping it and it ends up dropping. And as it collapses the cave, Jerry ends up holding it up just enough time for everybody to get through. But Connie and Magna are going to go help and look for the others, while the others that actually made it out are fighting the Whispers that are waiting for them. But Connie ended up finding Carol and all the others, so they end up getting them out of the tunnel. But Jerry can't hold this anymore, and Magna and Connie end up going to fight more walkers. So Jerry gets out, but the whole entire tunnel ends up collapsing, leaving Connie and Magna in there. And I know Daryl's not going to be okay after that one, and neither is her sister. But Carol tries to say she's sorry and that she knows that he cares about her. But Daryl just sends all of them home and says that he's going out on his own way. And apparently he's going to go take out the Whispers. And we're back with episode 10. Starting right back off saying that Daryl's going his own way looking for the Whispers, and that Negan's gratitude's getting him laid. But we end up starting this episode off with seeing Beta walking into some random RV for some reason. Until we find out that's just like a secret little cavern for them. And eventually we'll figure out where it goes. But as Rosie is taking care of her child at night, she ends up hearing the sound of a whisper and ends up seeing that they made it inside of Alexandria? Oh, never mind, that was a dream. But what's not a dream is that whisper that was talking to Aaron says that they're all trapped in a cave and that she can show them the location right now. But they don't trust her, because even though we know she's telling the actual truth, remember what happened to Sadiq? So as Daryl's looking around, he ends up finding like 4 of the Whispers and Alpha, while this Whisper that's actually useful ends up getting put in jail. But Daryl does go crazy and takes out those Whispers and then goes to try to fight Beta, but he ends up getting blood in his eye. But he smacks her down with a stick and then pokes her and keeps squeezing it into her, asking where she's taking the herd, because he's not playing around about Connie. But with all the blood in his eyes and the walkers coming, he's got to go. So he makes it into a store, which we see that she did end up knifing him. But she makes it in the same building and they're both hurt, so they're just sitting here talking crap to each other. But remember, she's in camouflage, so she tracks in some walkers to take out Daryl. While Gabriel and some of the others are going to check out the place to see if they're actually in this cave or not. But they'll end up finding out that they're not in the cave. This was all a distraction, so they could actually get into Alexandria. And even worse, it's not just Whispers, it's Beta. So while these dudes are putting on their armor, thinking they're all chill, he ends up killing them, but ends up making sure that they come back as walkers. And keep in reminder, Rosita and them are inside. But Gabriel starts thinking, why would they want all of them out here? And that's because they wanted to attack from inside. Yeah, you're a little late on that, buddy. But the reason why Beta's here is because he wants that Whisperer back. Because he knows that she's the one that told them about the Horde, and he's here to kill her. But lucky for the friendly Whisperer, she ends up running away while he gets attacked by an Alexandrian, but she gets knocked out. But for some odd reason, he ends up thinking, I guess, that she's in this house, but this ends up being Rosita's house. Whoa, dreams come true, don't they? But when he tries to go through one of the doors, he ends up getting shot by Judith. And apparently her and the friendly Whisperer were in there. But now Rosita's gonna have to actually fight him. Which, trust me, this is not a type of person you really want to be fighting. But the Whisperer ends up putting a knife to her throat, saying she will kill herself if he doesn't leave her alone. So as he's taking her back to Alpha, Gabriel and some of the others end up coming out trying to take out Beta, and they end up seeing that she was with him, so it does not look good for her. Meanwhile, Alpha and Daryl have lost a lot of blood, so they're just passing out. And she ends up waking up to see Lydia. Where's she been? But as she sits and talks to Lydia, as she wakes up, she ends up seeing that she's not there. And neither is Daryl. I guess he left her a little sign too. So as Judith and some of all the others end up taking off to Hilltop, we figure out that Daryl didn't leave that sign for Alpha, Lydia did. But it looks like the Whispers ended up saving Alpha. And we're back with episode 11. So it looks like the Whispers are cutting open the trees and either getting the tree sap or the water out of it. Nope, that's definitely sap. So what are they doing? And it looks like Alpha's took her herd, Negan, and Beta, and they're all on their way somewhere. While keeping a reminder, Eugene's still talking to that one woman from a different team, and they're trying to figure each other out slowly. So Daryl and Lydia end up making it back to Hilltop, but he has the bad news as the Whispers are on their way. Oh yeah, and you know how Eugene and that girl were talking, and that girl said if anybody else were to contact her from him, that she would have to just immediately leave? Yeah, Rosita tries to answer the phone, so she ends up leaving. And Eugene tries to call for her, but it looks like it's too late, and Eugene is not happy with Rosita right now. But we got way bigger problems as Daryl tries to find a way out for everybody to leave, and it looks like they're all stuck because Alpha's already done put tree logs down on every one of their roads. So the only choice they have is to fight, while King Ezekiel finally tells Carol that he has cancer. And it seems like she does still care about him because she does start kissing him. And 5 minutes later, it looks like they did more than kissing. And Carol ends up having a talk with Lydia saying that she should hate her because of the things that she did. But basically she's sorry, but Lydia doesn't care, she just cares about people. But while all the groups are trying to find other ways to go, they end up seeing a bunch of rats coming their way. So everyone's getting ready because it looks like some stuff's about to go down. And lucky for Eugene, his girl ends up coming back to talk to him once again. And Daryl ends up going up to King Ezekiel and says even though they had problems, he still cares about him and hope he works through that cancer. While Judith's really scared because she's scared she's going to lose Daryl and that she's not going to have Michonne, Rick, or him. Yeah, I feel bad for her here and there. But she fixed Daryl's vest and it looks super hard. I think it's been ripped ever since Merle ripped it in season 3. But let's be honest, I would rock that too. But we get a moment where Daryl's looking like Rick, considering he is the main character, but he is looking back at Glenn's grave. Because Daryl will always live with what he did to Glenn. But as it becomes nighttime, the Whispers are getting closer. So everyone's armed up and ready. The electric fence does do pretty good damage to the Horde, but they end up breaking through, obviously. So our team prepares to kill those Whispers and the Walkers. And it's going pretty well until we see these big old slime balls that they have. And at first I thought these were raw guts, but I'm pretty sure these are full of tree sap. And yes, tree sap is very sticky, but you want to know something else about it? It is very flammable, but I think it's pine sap actually. But now that our team sees that they can just be hit with a little bit of fire and burned to death, this is not looking too good for us. They end up trapping Daryl, Rosita, and all the others in a flame circle. So hopefully our team will be able to find a way to get out. And we're back with episode 12. And things are still heated, but our team's still fighting this horde of walkers. Lucky for them, they're keeping all the walkers back even though they're on fire. And King Ezekiel's trying to get all the kids because everybody knows the safe place to take all the kids if they have them. While literally everybody's just trying to run to get safety. Everybody is split up. And we cut back to Negan and all the Whisperers outside. As Negan says that they should just go in and kill the rest of them, but she says that they just need to leave because she hasn't got what she's wanted yet. It really shows you how crazy and dangerous these Whisperers are. But Negan likes to act hard in front of walkers and walk around the whole entire apocalypse like nobody else is here. Until we cut to Aaron and Luke trying to get out of the place because he's unconscious and Aaron tries to save him. And oh, when I tell you Aaron sees Negan and nobody's in the way to stop him, yeah, it don't matter what Negan's got to say. But lucky for Negan, the walkers end up coming after him and Luke, so he has to protect Luke. But it doesn't seem like Negan gets too far because apparently he sees Lydia and ends up taking her. So she's probably going back to the Whispers. While Connie's sister, Alden, and the other Whisperer are actually trying to find their way around too. Cause at the moment, it seems like everybody's safe. Until our friendly Whisperer goes on her own and ends up getting sliced by Beta. But she ends up ripping off Beta's mask, and that's where one of the Whisperers notes that he's actually somebody famous. And imagine meeting somebody famous and them actually killing you. Like, what are the odds? So we end up getting Carol and Eugene together, which I don't think I've ever seen these two talk. But what's crazier is Yumiko actually ended up finding Magna in the herd. And she survived, but she doesn't know what happened to Connie. So yeah, Carol, you better take blame for this. But she ends up talking it out with Eugene, and he just says that she needs to go right with her heart and do the right thing. While Daryl and all the others are trying to look for the kids, and they go to the spot, but as soon as Daryl checks, none of the kids are there. But lucky for us, the old man actually ended up saving all the kids. Until we take a good look at him and can tell he's about to die. Yeah, he got bit by the herd. And if he doesn't take himself out with the brain, then he might just come back as a walker and kill all the kids. But Daryl and the others end up going back and seeing that King Ezekiel actually got stuck trying to save the kids. But as Judith ended up walking in the room to see the old man dead, it seems like he didn't kill himself fully. And as Daryl and the others try to check this one room, they end up figuring out that all the kids are inside. And Daryl goes to sit with Judith and comforts her and says that he's not going anywhere. You really gotta love these two. More importantly, it looks like Negan and Alpha are still figuring out what they're gonna do with Lydia, I guess. Because it looks like they tied Lydia up and they're coming to the room now. Until we get the hardest transition to see that she's not at that door, and neither is Alpha. Because Negan did this to kill Alpha. Wait, no, you're playing right. Did that just happen that easily? Well, anyways, he ends up putting her face down and ends up cutting off her head. And he rolls it to somebody. Until we figure out it was Carol, and she's the one that let Negan out of the cage to kill Alpha. What? And we're back with episode 13 with Michonne's last episode of The Walking Dead. And this episode is definitely one of my favorite from the season. So we cut back with Michonne with her walkers, so I guess this is around like, you know, when season 2 ended. And I am correct because look, there's Andrea. Like literally, this is the season 2 finale where Andrea about dies to the walker and Michonne saves her. Or not, she just lets her die to the walkers? I don't think I remember it going that way. But we're back with Virgil and Michonne as they finally got to his island. But he's just taking his time as Michonne's trying to get home as fast as she can. And she does not have time for Virgil's fun, so she says that they need to get to his family right now because she's ready to get her ammo and leave. You know, until we figure out that his whole family's been dead this whole time. Would have been good to know. But it ends up getting dark, so he ends up telling her that they should just find a place to sleep. So while she thinks Virgil's asleep, she ends up walking around the place to find anything. And Virgil traps her inside of a room. Keep in reminder, she's on a time schedule because she doesn't know what's happening at home. But Michonne wakes up the next day and starts to calm down as she ends up hearing other people against the other side of the wall that were actually Virgil's friends. The reason he is the way he is because one time he went on a run and actually had some people come in to join their group. But the dude started attacking people, and of course they ended up turning straight into zombies. And as he got everybody out of the building to lock the doors, sadly for him, he ended up locking his family inside. But as Michonne ended up eating the food and drinking the drink that he gave her, she starts to hallucinate, and he says that this is going to show her other colors and what she could have been. So now we're seeing a different perspective on Michonne if she actually just left Andrea to die. And back when Rick and Daryl went on that mission and ended up seeing that dude that was running the roads asking for help, instead of it being that dude that died, it's actually Michonne this time. And as she's asking for help, Daryl even looks back to see her, but they end up taking off, not caring. So she takes off walkers as she's alone, but ends up getting picked up by the Saviors. This is why I love this episode so much, because what if this actually happened? Well, looks like it's actually going to tell us. So when Glenn actually went to kill one of those people in their sleep, Michonne actually woke up and killed Glenn. And as Rick and all the others ended up taking out the outpost, she ran away. But when Negan catches Rick and all of them and puts them in a line, instead of him picking who gets to die, Michonne gets to. And it really shows you if she didn't get put with Rick that she could have been a bloodthirsty killer on Negan's side. Then it cuts to Michonne killing some Alexandrians until she gets hit with the plot bow. Because if you're against Daryl, then you're going to lose by Daryl. And as she goes to pick up her sword, it looks like Rick puts his boot down and ends up putting a gun to her face and shooting her. You know, until she gets shot back into reality. Trust me, you probably don't want to see that many versions of yourself. But it looks like Virgil is too comfortable. As Michonne was feeling a lot better, she stabs him and ends up running out with him. And of course, Michonne ends up helping saving all the others. But apparently Virgil's freaking insane and blew up the boat. So Michonne is seconds away from killing Virgil, as all the others want to kill him too. But she explains that killing them doesn't do anything, that just makes them worse. And that giving mercy will give them peace. So, you know, that was a pretty good episode. Couldn't get better, right? Until Michonne's just looking around this random room in his house and finds a bag that looks a lot like Rick's. And when she asks Virgil where he ended up finding that bag, he ends up saying on this boat. So Michonne looks everywhere and she ends up finding a phone with Michonne and Judith carved out and his name Rick. And there's only one person that could have wrote this, and that means he had to survive. So Michonne's ready to get everybody back to Oceanside. But sadly, it looks like Virgil wants to stay with his family because he promised his wife flowers every day. I swear this show makes me want to cry sometimes. And apparently Michonne's magic walkie-talkie ends up contacting Judith, so they end up talking. But when Michonne asks if everybody's safe, Judith ends up lying and saying that everything's okay. So Michonne ends up telling Judith that she ended up finding a sign from Rick. But Michonne says that she's coming home right now, but Judith says that she needs to find Rick because he's either out there looking for them and can't get to them, or he needs Michonne. So Michonne gets off the walkie and they end up traveling north. With her season 3 top look, she ends up finding survivors, but she does remember how Rick ended up helping her. But she ends up killing those walkers and says that she's here to help. So she picks them up and they end up seeing a huge colony of people. And could this be it? Could she actually finally see Rick? Hopefully one day we'll end up figuring out. And we're back with episode 14, and I did leave out one thing. When Eugene and Carol were actually talking, it seems like Eugene actually told her about that woman that he's been talking to and that he wants to meet her. And that's when Carol says that he should actually go and try to find her. But we end up coming back to Negan being in the jail cell since, you know, he ended up accidentally killing that woman. But Carol says that she'll give him a way out as long as he kills Alpha. And now that he did that, he ends up giving the head to Carol, which she puts on a stick because that's what she wanted to do. So Negan ends up saying that they need to go home, but Carol says she's not ready to go home, which Negan can't go home without her. But she tells Negan that she needs her time. While Magna and Yumiko end up finding the house where Daryl and all the others are. And when everybody's in there, Eugene asks for everyone's attention. He explains to the walkies he's actually met a woman in a different colony, and that she has a rendezvous time for him to meet her. And even if he doesn't or does know it's a trap, he's going. And apparently Yumiko's gonna go with Eugene too. And even King Ezekiel, which Jerry's not too happy about since you know he's sick. But Beta's just not getting to the boundaries and ends up seeing Alpha's head on a stick. But apparently he can still hear her, so he takes her head and listens to her. Okay. While Negan goes to see if Lydia is actually okay and gets attacked by Daryl. So Daryl tells him to explain, and Negan says that Carol let him out to kill Alpha. Well, here he is actually on a newspaper, so we get a little picture of what he actually looked like. While Carol's on the deep end as she still sees Alpha, while Eugene and them are off to find his girl. But along the way, it looks like King Ezekiel's getting worse on breathing, while Daryl makes Negan take him to Alpha's head. And Carol isn't doing too well either, as she finds his cabin and ends up falling down and it caves in on her. But remember, Beta ended up taking Alpha's head, so Negan's looking really suspicious right now. But it doesn't seem like it matters because the Whispers end up crowding him and says since Negan killed Alpha, that makes him Alpha, so now they listen to him. So he asks him for the gun as he's about to kill Daryl. But of course, instead he ends up shooting the Whispers and they take out the rest. While the next day, Carol finally gets out of her struggle with these logs. And Eugene and them finally made it to the city. But I think Daryl's starting to learn how Rick said that Negan would finally be useful, even if he hates Negan forever for what he did. But Carol finally makes it home and Daryl and everybody else are at Alexandria now. And back with Eugene and all the others, they see that the town's actually been dressed up and the walkers look like humans. Only because they got them sitting in seats and literally have them in shopping carts. Even this walker in the car got stopped by a zombie cop. But with all this craziness, we end up finding the crazy person that did it. A very insane woman with an LMG, not the safest. But now that Beta's got Alpha in his right here, it seems like he's ready to finish this. And we're back with episode 15, seeing her new character, and her name is Princess. And it's a good thing Eugene took King Ezekiel because he loves to talk and so does she. Not only that, she likes to show off her new LMG as she takes out a bunch of walkers, but with all that sound it ends up scaring all of their horses away. So now they're gonna have to rely on her to find Wills. Meanwhile, we got Beta actually storming into Alexandria, but no one's there. And that's because the majority of all of her people are literally in this other building. So it doesn't seem like the walkers will be finding them anytime soon. And it's not just Alexandria and the Kingdom, looks like it's some people from the Oceanside too. But as Daryl kind of wanders off for a minute, he ends up trying to call to Michonne but doesn't get an answer. While Beta and the other Whispers are trying to figure out where they went. But little do they know, up there in the windmill, Alden and Aaron are watching their every move. And as Eugene and all of them are on their way to get the Wills, Princess forgets that they're in a landmine field. And the worst part about it, she doesn't even remember where they are in it. Yep, looks like they're gonna be here for a minute. But they do eventually get out. While somehow Beta's listening to Alpha. But far away from them, it looks like Aaron and Alden are following. But keeping a reminder, the Whispers are good trackers, so they end up getting surrounded. And Daryl and Judith end up having a good talk about she might be losing people that she cares about, but this is just how it goes. Daryl really does care about her. But Daryl ends up getting a call from Gabriel and he's too far away, so it's mumbling, but all he hears is surrounded because somehow Beta found where they're at. And he's brought a huge horde with him. And we're back with the mid-season finale. So last episode we heard that Daryl was talking to Gabriel and we're figuring out why he's freaking out. Because almost all of them are stuck in this tower and the walkers are coming, and the Whispers. And it looks like Daryl and Carol and some of the others are finally making it back. While for some odd reason it looks like Virgil actually goes to the Oceanside. And lucky for us, it looks like Aaron and Alden ended up taking out the Whispers and they had a little bit of help. A new mysterious character. And not only that, we have one of our favorite characters coming back. As we read a note that says Jesus is dead and explaining what Whispers are, Maggie is back. But it looks like Beta's got some unfinished business as he takes his sword and storms towards the tower. While back with Eugene and the others, it seems like they didn't make it to the rendezvous at the right time, but they're still going to go for it. But back at the tower with no other choice, some of them are going to have to put walker guts all over their bodies because they're going to go through the herd and they're going to get music to lure the rest out. And just in case, they're going to wear Whisperer masks so the Whispers don't notice them. So Daryl, Jerry, and some of the others are going through. And it seems like everything's going really well, but it does still freak me out just like the first episodes of The Walking Dead. Like, they better hope it doesn't rain. But even with the masks on, the Whispers can tell which ones they are, so they have to kill the Whispers as well as going through the horde. But all of them end up making it out besides Carol and one of the others from the Oceanside. And as they make it closer, the girl from Oceanside ends up getting pulled in and dies. I guess at least Carol made it. Well, it looks like Gabriel and some of the others are going to have to take out the walkers that are coming inside. But it doesn't look like they're going to have to wait too long, as it looks like Daryl and them are already leading the walkers away. So of course Gabriel takes out some Whispers, while Negan ends up accidentally running into Beta. And as Negan's definitely going to get killed by Beta, Daryl comes out with his two knives and stabs both of them into his eyes. And with all of that, we're finally done with the Whispers forever. So now it looks like Carol's leading the horde over a cliff. But she's walking with them too, and it seems like she's just about to jump off. Until out of nowhere, Lydia ends up saving her and grabs her to the side. So Maggie gets reacquainted with everybody, noticing that there's no Rick. And I'm really glad to see Maggie back, honestly. But speaking of bringing back characters, looks like somebody else has survived too. And it's Connie. But she ends up hearing somebody coming towards her, and it looks like she sees Virgil. Hopefully he helps her and doesn't, try to put her in a cage. While Eugene, King Ezekiel, and them finally made it to the place to wait for his girl. Until lights come on, we found out it was a setup. And these people look like they are trained to fight and to kill. And they say they're coming with them. And we'll figure out more about them next season. But we still got one more part of season 10. And I'll see y'all next video.